Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. Within minutes, some people seem magnetic. Everyone listens to them, laughs with them, and respects their ideas. Others, however, remain unnoticed. What makes the difference? It is not just charisma or luck. It is a set of skills that can be learned. Skills that can change careers, transform relationships, and even make ordinary conversations unforgettable. This is what Dale Carnegie's classic How to Win Friends and Influence People reveals. First published in 1936, yet its principles remain just as powerful in psychology, leadership, and everyday communication today. Let us break down the core lessons with examples and scientific research that show why they still matter. Principle 1. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Criticism often puts people on the defensive. Instead of learning, they justify their behavior. Carnegie illustrated this with the story of Charles Schwab, one of the most successful business leaders in America, who said he believed in praising his workers for even the smallest improvements instead of pointing out mistakes. Consider a workplace scenario. A manager sees an employee arrive late. One manager might say, "You are always late. You are unreliable." Another might say, "I noticed you had trouble arriving on time today. Is everything all right?" The second approach opens dialogue, reduces conflict, and encourages accountability. Modern psychology supports this. Research by Dr. John Gottman, who studied thousands of couples, shows that relationships thrive when the ratio of positive to negative interactions is at least 5-1. Constant criticism destroys trust, whether at home or in business. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Everyone wants to feel important. Carnegie wrote that this is the deepest human need. The problem is, most people seek flattery instead of genuine appreciation. Imagine a teacher who tells a student, "You are smart." That is flattery. But when the teacher says, "I admire the effort you put into solving that difficult problem step by step," that is sincere appreciation. The difference. One focuses on empty praise, the other on specific effort. Behavioral science shows why this works. Studies in organizational psychology reveal that employees who receive recognition are significantly more productive, engaged, and loyal. Appreciation activates dopamine in the brain, creating motivation to repeat the same behavior. Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. People do not care about what you want. They care about what they want. If you want to influence, frame your idea in terms of their needs. Carnegie told of a boy trying to catch fish. He loved strawberries and cream, but fish prefer worms. So he baited the hook with worms, not his favorite food. That is the essence of persuasion. In a modern setting, think of a job interview. Instead of saying, "I want this job because I need growth," a stronger approach is, "I believe my skills in data analysis can help your company reduce costs and increase efficiency." You present the benefit for them, not yourself. Marketing psychology backs this. Studies in consumer behavior show that purchase decisions are driven less by features and more by how well the product satisfies personal desires. Principle 4. Become genuinely interested in other people. People love to talk about themselves. Showing genuine curiosity makes them feel valued. Carnegie described how President Theodore Roosevelt, before meeting a guest, would study their interests. If a visitor loved astronomy, Roosevelt would spend the night before reading about stars so he could discuss them intelligently. That small gesture built immediate connection. Imagine meeting someone at a networking event. Instead of pushing your own achievements, you ask, "What projects excite you most right now?" Suddenly, the other person feels seen, and they remember you as someone engaging. Neuroscience explains why. Self-disclosure, talking about oneself, activates the brain's reward centers. That is why conversations feel more enjoyable when someone listens attentively. Principle 5. Smile. It seems simple, yet powerful. A smile signals warmth and acceptance. Carnegie noted that actions speak louder than words, and a smile says, "I like you." A store clerk who greets with a smile creates more loyalty than one who seems indifferent. Airlines train staff to smile genuinely because it improves customer satisfaction. Scientific evidence confirms this. Psychologist Paul Ekman showed that smiling not only influences how others perceive us, but also changes our own mood, triggering positive hormones like serotonin. Principle 6. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest sound. Carnegie stressed the importance of remembering names. During a conversation, using someone's name shows respect and personal recognition. Think of the difference. "Excuse me, could you pass the salt?" versus "Excuse me, Sarah, could you pass the salt?" One feels formal and distant. The other feels personal and kind. Research in cognitive science supports this. Hearing our name activates unique regions in the brain associated with self-identity and positive emotions. It is more powerful than any compliment. Principle 7. Be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. Carnegie emphasized active listening as a way to build trust. A sales representative who listens to a customer's concerns instead of pushing a product is far more likely to close a deal. Couples who practice active listening report stronger emotional bonds. Harvard studies reveal that when people share personal stories, dopamine and oxytocin are released, building deeper connection. Listening is not passive. It is a tool of influence. Principle 8. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. If you want someone to engage, frame the conversation around what matters to them. Carnegie shared an example of a botanist who won the respect of criminals in prison by discussing plants, something they found fascinating. Imagine trying to convince a child to study math. Saying, "because you must," rarely works. But connecting math to their love of video games by showing how coding uses numbers sparks curiosity. Communication experts confirm that relevance drives attention. When topics align with personal interests, people are more open, receptive, and cooperative. Principle 9. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Carnegie taught that significance is a universal desire. When we make people feel valued without manipulation, relationships flourish. For example, a restaurant manager remembers a regular customer's favorite dish. The customer feels recognized, and loyalty grows. Social neuroscience shows that feeling important activates the brain's reward circuits. People gravitate toward those who acknowledge their worth. Influence strategies, winning people to your way of thinking. Avoid arguments. Carnegie said that the only way to win an argument is to avoid it. Arguments rarely produce agreement, only resentment. Picture two colleagues debating politics at work. Even if one wins, the other leaves feeling offended. Instead, redirect the conversation to common ground. Research from persuasion psychology shows that once people form beliefs, arguments often backfire. Strengthening the original belief through a phenomenon called reactance. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Even when you disagree, acknowledge their perspective. Saying, "I see how you view," it softens resistance. This mirrors modern negotiation techniques. Harvard's program on negotiation emphasizes separating people from problems, focusing on respect before persuasion. Admit mistakes quickly and emphatically. Carnegie argued that humility disarms hostility. When you admit your own faults openly, others have no reason to attack. Consider a manager who accidentally double books a meeting. Instead of hiding it, he says, "I made an error. I am sorry. Let us fix it." Colleagues respect honesty. Studies on leadership show that leaders who admit mistakes are seen as more trustworthy and authentic, creating stronger teams. Begin in a friendly way. Hostility closes doors, but kindness opens them. Starting with friendliness sets the tone for cooperation. Customer service agents who start with empathy reduce complaints significantly. Let the other person do much of the talking. People feel more committed to ideas they voice themselves. If you let them speak, they feel ownership of the solution. This is supported by motivational interviewing. a counseling method proven to help people change behavior by letting them generate their own reasons for change. Appeal to noble motives. Carnegie said people like to believe they act out of honor and fairness. Appeal to those higher motives, not selfish desires. For example, when asking someone to recycle, instead of saying, "It saves money," say, "It helps protect the world for children." The second feels more noble. Dramatize your ideas. Facts alone can be boring. Carnegie recommended making them vivid. In business, a plain presentation might fail, but one leader poured money into a wastebasket during a meeting to demonstrate financial loss. The visual impact stuck. Neuroscience confirms that stories and visuals are remembered far longer than data points. Throw down a challenge. Carnegie observed that people love competition. When framed positively, challenges spark energy. He told of Charles Schwab encouraging workers to outdo one another in production by writing daily numbers on the floor of the factory. Productivity soared. Behavioral economics supports this. Competition taps into intrinsic motivation and creates a game-like environment that fuels engagement. Leadership principles, inspiring without offense. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Instead of starting with criticism, highlight strengths first. Call attention to mistakes indirectly. Suggest rather than command. Ask questions instead of giving orders. It creates cooperation. Let the other person save face. Avoid public embarrassment. Praise improvement, even if small. Encouragement fuels progress. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. People rise to expectations. Make faults seem easy to correct. Present change as achievable. Make the other person happy about doing what you suggest. Influence works best when people feel joy, not pressure. Conclusion. The timeless power of these principles lies in a simple truth. Influence is not about manipulation. It is about respect, empathy, and seeing the world through the eyes of others. If you begin today by practicing just one principle, like giving sincere appreciation or listening more than you speak, you will notice immediate changes in how people respond to you. Here is a challenge. For the next 7 days, avoid criticizing anyone. Replace it with curiosity or appreciation. Watch how conversations shift, how relationships grow warmer, and how influence flows naturally. That is how you truly win friends and influence people.